Hi, hello besties. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to Vlogmas Day 2. We are getting into a full week of workouts today at 28 weeks pregnant. 28 weeks. I am in my third trimester. I literally cannot believe it. I actually am in shock that I am in my third trimester. This week of workouts was the perfect week to film because it is not at all what I was expecting it to be. I went into my third trimester saying I'm going to do 3 definite lifts, an upper body, a lower body, and a full body lift. And then if I can get a 4th day in, I'll do some cardio, I'll do some Pilates or yoga, something like that, keeping it very like 3 to 4 days of exercise a week. This week I did get that in, but I certainly felt like my body was slowing down this week. I certainly felt a lot of aches, a lot of pains. Work was super emotionally and physically demanding this week, so my workouts started off really strong on Monday and Tuesday, and then by Wednesday the only way that I felt motivated to work out was to take a class. And typically taking a class when I am pregnant is something that I really hesitate towards and kind of like I'm not super fond of, because I feel like I am trying to keep up with the speed or the intensity or the other people around me, and obviously as you get pregnant that just gets harder and harder. So I feel like I have a hard time taking classes when I'm pregnant, but it was the only way that I felt mentally motivated to exercise on Wednesday. And then by Thursday my body was so sore and so achy that the only thing that felt good was a little walk on the treadmill, a really long stretch, and some core. But honestly, we got in our 4 days of exercise this week. It is now Friday. I am feeling so good. I have no other forms of exercise planned for the weekend, so I'm planning on taking Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. I do have a training full day, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. training for a certification on Sunday where I think I have to work out for, but that is not necessarily like a formal part of like my exercise routine. That is just kind of the way this week fell. But without further ado, here's a full week of workouts at 28 weeks pregnant.
We are starting off day 1 with a full leg day. Typically, I go into my workouts with some sort of a plan, but honestly, when I am pregnant, I have just been doing whatever feels best for me and my body on that particular day. So I'm trying to put together 2 or 3 supersets or individual exercises to make up my workouts for the day. But I'm making sure that I am prioritizing a stretch, some mobility in the beginning, because everything, especially now at this point in my third trimester, is a little extra tight. But we are starting off with tempo sumo squats, so feet wider than hip width, toes pointed slightly outwards. You're holding one weight in the middle and you're going nice, slow, and controlled down. It should literally look like you are moving in slow motion. I take extra rest time when I am pregnant because my heart rate jumps significantly higher. So, and I'm really trying to keep it anywhere between 160 and lower. So I'm taking a lot of extra rest time in between my sets, but we are pairing that with dumbbell reverse lunges. So holding a dumbbell on each side, taking a step back, trying to hit 90 degree with each one of your legs. Nice and controlled there. As we transition into our second superset of the day, we are doing a dumbbell RDL to start. This is really going to depend on how your low back is feeling at this point in pregnancy, where you want to make sure that you're able to still have a really good core engagement in terms of being able to pull that belly button into your core. You're not feeling any pressure in your low back when you're doing this movement because you're shifting your hips backwards. It's really more of a hinge movement, slight bend in your knees, but you're not bending at your knees. And then we're pairing that with a banded squat to side shuffle. So you're going to pop that band up right above your knee, squat, take a step to each side, and then come back up. It's going to just get you a little extra burn and work those abductors and adductors. Finishing out on the day today, we are doing a dumbbell hip thrust. I love hip thrusting so much, and it is one of the #1 movements that I miss when I am pregnant because obviously you're not putting a bar onto your hips or onto that pelvis uterus area. So this is a great alternative for when you do want to do a hip thrust and still get that like good burn without putting too much weight and pressure onto your belly and uterus area. It was such a perfect way to start the week. It was a good burn, but I didn't overdo it and felt just really good at the end of the day. Moving into day 2, we did a full upper body day today. Again, am just trying to piece together a couple different supersets to make up my workout. So today's workout primarily consisted of back, triceps, a little bit of biceps, and a little bit of chest. We kind of let shoulders out of it, but we did start off with a cable rope lat pull down. I love a lat pull down, but a regular bar lat pull down puts a lot of pressure onto my core, and I'm trying to avoid that at this point. And then we are pairing that with a bicep curl with an isometric hold. One arm moves, the other is holding. Our next superset starts off with an incline dumbbell chest press. At this point in pregnancy, you really don't want to be doing any lying flat movements if you can avoid it, or not for a long period of time. It just decreases the blood flow that would go to the baby. So for any movement like this, just pop that bench up on an incline and you will feel a lot better. And it's a lot easier to get up, since obviously that's much harder as well. That is getting paired with a cable tricep push down. So you're grabbing a bar attachment, pushing it straight down, stopping right there at 90 degrees to hit those triceps and to make sure that they're the primary muscle group that is working. Finishing it out with our last superset of the day. Today we are doing a cable straight arm pull down, big stretch all the way up, and then as you pull down, really focus on squeezing those shoulder blades in the back of the movement, trying to keep those arms as straight as possible. So now it is not your triceps that are working, and it really is those back and those lats. That is getting paired with an overhead tricep extension. So you are flipping around the other way, keeping the bar probably at the same height you just used for your straight arm pull downs. You are bending just at those elbows and then extending straight out. Once again, make sure your triceps are the only thing working. Moving into day 3, we did a full body workout today. I actually took a class, which, like I said in the beginning, is something that when I'm pregnant, I actually try to avoid, because I do find myself just comparing myself to other people in the class and pushing myself and really trying to keep up the pace and not slowing down when I feel like I need to. But I went into this class today just putting as little pressure on myself as possible and just wanting to show up and move my body in whatever way felt best for the day. And I just did all the movements that I felt like I needed to adjust, and I honestly felt so good. It was so much fun being in a class environment and having all of just the fun and energy of all of the people around me with the music playing. It really was the perfect thing and exactly what I needed today when I didn't have a ton of motivation to do any workout on my own. Moving into our day 4 and final day of movement for the week, we did cardio, core, and stretching. I did a 30-minute incline walk on the treadmill because honestly, at this point in the week, my body was just so sore and felt honestly a little achy. So it was just what felt best for me at this point. One of the biggest questions that I get asked when it comes to exercising while pregnant is it still safe to work your core when you are pregnant? And yes, it absolutely is. Of course, there are pregnancy safe movements. You really want to stray away from anything that is going to put extreme intense movements on your core. Things that like a plank or a burpee or a push-up, things like that. You really want to try to avoid those types of movements, but you can definitely work your deep core. You obviously need your core so much through labor and then postpartum. So it is really, really important to be able to engage those deep core muscles and work the core muscles that are safe to work. But of course, more than anything else, if you're unsure, make sure you ask your doctor and see what core movements are safe for you to do. But you absolutely can still work your core in a safe way while you are pregnant. I finished off today's movement with just a bunch of stretching. This is typically the stretching routine that I do at the end of the night in my 3rd trimester. A lot of hip openers, a lot of mobility, a lot of, again, deep core work to make sure that my body is as prepared for labor as humanly possible. So you can see I'm doing a lot of hip openers, a lot of things that are really just good to stretch out as best as possible. You are so tight at this point in pregnancy towards the 2nd and all of the 3rd trimester that you're really just prepping your body for labor as best as humanly possible at this point. So I was honestly just kind of moving in whatever way felt well, stretching the muscles that felt tight, but trying to prioritize, of course, just getting everything all nice and lots of blood flowing, loose and open. And by the end of this movement today, I actually felt really, really good. When I started off the workout feeling very achy, very tired, and very sore. So it did exactly what I was hoping for it to do. So I was super grateful for that.
I feel like this pregnancy as a whole, my outlook towards exercise has changed so drastically. I feel like my first time when I was pregnant with AJ, I was putting a ton of pressure on myself to be doing the same thing that I was doing before I got pregnant, that same level of intensity, and that is just literally impossible. As your body starts to get more tired, as you're running around now with a toddler 24/7, it is impossible for you to be able to do as much as you were doing before, lift as much, lift as heavy as you were doing before. And honestly, I feel like going in this time around with that mindset and with just so much less pressure on myself, I feel so much better through all of my workouts all of the time, because I don't feel the pressure to be lifting as heavy as I was before, to be working out nearly as long as I was before. In my most ideal week of workouts now, in my 3rd trimester, I am doing an upper body day, a lower body day, and a full body day. With those days, if I can get in 15 to 20 minutes of cardio, beautiful. If I can't, I'm not stressing about it. And then I'm trying to get one additional day, if I can, in like a 4th day of cardio, Pilates, yoga, something that just is more of like an active recovery. Up until this point, I've been really, really fortunate with my pregnancy that I have really been able to work out 4 to 5 days every single week. And at that point, I was doing 2 upper and 2 lower body days. So I was doing a push and pull for upper body, and then a glute and hamstring focus day, and a quad / total leg day. And I feel really fortunate that I was able to exercise and work out that way, because I understand that that's not the case for everybody. And my biggest advice, if you are pregnant and trying to exercise or looking into exercises that are safe, one, Google pregnancy safe exercises. I'm really fortunate that I am a certified personal trainer. I have done a ton of research, and I am working towards my pre and postnatal certification. So I do feel like I have a lot of knowledge that supports me this time around, especially through my pregnancies. But if you are unsure, Google, ask your doctor what is safe through exercise. But pretty much your 1st and 2nd trimester, if you were doing it before you got pregnant, you're going to be able to do it now when you are early pregnant. But everything just needs to be modified. For me, the biggest things that I pay attention to is how my body is feeling when I exercise, the demands that it's putting on my core, and then what my heart rate looks like. My doctor told me that they did not want my heart rate while I was pregnant to get above 160 beats per minute when I was exercising. So I just wear my Apple Watch when I exercise, and I'm just paying attention to that number. So that way I can check back in on that, see where it's at. If I feel super out of breath, I just take a little bit of a longer rest. But honestly, it's just about listening to your body. You're going to have to rest a little bit more when you're pregnant. You're gonna have to stretch a little bit more when you're pregnant, and you're not gonna be able to work out as hard, as intensely, as long. And honestly, I think having that realization this time around has made exercise so much more enjoyable for me, because I've been doing movements that just feel good for my body. My workouts have gone anywhere between 35 to 40 minutes, where before they were like 40 minutes to an hour, and then cardio on top of that. So now I'm getting like a solid 35 to 45 minute workout in, and then maybe, if my body's feeling up for it, a little bit of cardio at the end. But I'm really trying to prioritize a good warm up before and a good stretch after my workout, so my body just feels as good as possible. I think it is so important, and I always like to point this out when I do these types of videos, that this is so unique to you. What works best for you and your body and your baby is what works best for you and your body and your baby. I am really, really fortunate that I feel physically and mentally able to go to the gym as much as I am able to, but I also work in a gym, so I have accessibility. I do have the time to be able to do it. So don't put a ton of pressure on yourself to be working out 3 to 5 days a week if that isn't what feels right for your body. Especially 1st trimester, your goal is literally just survival of that 1st trimester, dealing with the nausea, dealing with the exhaustion that you're dealing with. So just let your body feel all the things that it's feeling, and get as much movement in as feels right for your body and baby at that time frame. But don't put pressure on yourself. During your 2nd trimester, for most people, you are going to feel your best physically, emotionally. So that is when you can kind of like push yourself a little bit, do a little bit more with your movements, lift a little bit heavier, but also you'll have to start adjusting your movements where you are not putting a ton of strain on your core, where you are not lying down flat and everything kind of has to be taken to an incline a little bit. Things can be adjusted a little bit, but there's no reason that you could not still be lifting heavy relatively in your 2nd and 3rd trimester if you feel up for it. And then in your 3rd trimester, which is where I'm at now, it all really goes based off how you're feeling. If Obviously now you do have to accommodate your belly and your growing bump, so your movements have to work on that. I really have been trying to prioritize deep core movements, good hip stretches, hip openers, as well as like balance and mobility, because as you get further and further in your pregnancy, that's what tends to go. So I'm really trying to prioritize those things on top of also getting lifts in, because that's what makes me feel mentally and physically good. But if you are walking 4 to 5 days a week while you're pregnant, beautiful, if that's what works best for you. If you're more of a yoga Pilates girly, that's great. If you're cross training and you're doing cardio and you're doing Pilates and you're lifting a little bit, there is no right or wrong way to exercise when you're pregnant, as long as you're listening to you and your body. But I feel like for me, the biggest shift last pregnancy to this pregnancy is just the pressure that I put on myself. Last time around, I felt like I was putting a lot of pressure to lift a certain number of days per week, to lift a certain weight, even as I was getting into my second and third trimester. And this time around, I do have goals of wanting to be able to lift 3 days a week and maybe get that 4th day in. But if my body feels exhausted and my body feels tired, I'm just listening to my body, because not only this time around do I just have a lot more knowledge about being pregnant and what pregnancy and postpartum looks like, but I also have a toddler that I have to run around after 24/7. And if I'm exhausting myself in my workout, I'm not going to be able to show up the best version of myself for AJ, which is really, really important to me. So I feel like that not having that pressure this time around has been life-changing for me. But overall, it was a really, really good week of workouts. It was certainly not what I was expecting when I started picking up the camera, but I did get my 4 workouts in. I got an upper, a lower, a full body day because I took a class, and then that cardio core stretch workout in. So I honestly feel really, really good and proud of that. Through the rest of my pregnancy, I'm going to try to just listen to my body, do what's best. What I did last time around with AJ was I stuck with my 3 days of lifting pretty much up until about like 35 weeks pregnant, and then I cut it down to 2 days a week, either 2 full body days or an upper and a lower body day, depending on how I'm feeling. And then I just tried to like walk and do cardio as much as my body felt able to do at that point. So that's kind of my mindset the rest of my pregnancy, but I'm really just going to listen to my body and kind of play it day by day, week by week, and whatever feels best. And if I can't, because like the holidays are coming up, or because I'm just exhausted, or if I get sick, like I'm just allowing myself the rest, and I'm not stressing out and putting all this pressure on myself like I did that last time around. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you like this video, please make sure you go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. You already know it supports my channel. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss another video that I post. If you haven't already, make sure you follow me on my Instagram and my TikTok so you can see other fitness, health, and lifestyle content I post on there. And I'll catch you guys here next time.